won a Grammy. Man, I should have won a Grammy. Should have won a Grammy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Grammy Grabfest. That's right, it's where Jesse and Rosemarie go back to the 80s and talk about the songs and the experiences and the awards of the Grammy. Hey, Rosemarie, how you doing?
I'm great.
We're recording this the Monday after Mother's Day, and it
Hmm.
sounded like you had a lovely Mother's Day weekend.
I did, thank you. Sounded like you did as well,
Yes,
even
Linda
though it
did.
wasn't you're not the mother.
Yes, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are making our way, man. We are just getting there more and more. This is the 1987 Grammy Awards, correct? Or 86?
No, this is well, it's the 86.
Yeah,
It's for the year 86, but it's
right,
87 awards,
right.
yes.
It's always confusing. So,
Yep.
um, I'm looking forward to this. This should be a lot of fun. Do we remember? Now, 86 was the year I moved to Dallas. 84 is the year I got married. 86 is the year I moved to Dallas. What was happening in your life in 86?
Well, let's see. I had just gotten a new job. I was out of the army for at least, let's see, how long was I out? I got out in 85. And I was having a little bit of trouble getting back into, well, it was my first time working in the private sector since I was 16. So it was a little difficult finding work, but I went to a class to get reorientated and was able to get a job at the state. So it's actually a pretty good paying job at the time. So yeah, so it was actually just kind of getting adjusted and then, you know, adjusting completely, trying to live as non-military and work as non-military, so it was a lot of adjustments that year. So, it was, my kids are a little bit older now. I believe at this time I had one in school, so that was always their dad ended up staying home with them. So, having 2 at home instead of 3 and 1 in school really helped him out a lot, so
Absolutely. We'll have to talk later about why you guys decided to let him be the house husband. So,
sure, we can do
okay,
that.
that'll be interesting. All right. So we'll start as we always do under new artist.
Mhm.
So we have Timbuk 3,
Mhm.
New Shoes,
Mhm.
Simply Red, Glass Tiger, and Bruce Hornsby and the Range. Now I'm going to tell you right now, Rosemary,
Mhm.
I vaguely remember Simply Red.
Mm.
Don't know anything, maybe Timbuk 3, but I would not know what they are. I specifically did not go to our friend Wikipedia. Of course,
Uh-oh.
remember Bruce Hornsby.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about these artists.
Glass Tiger. I want to say that they were. I don't know. I'm gonna guess because I want to say they were a metal band, but I think I'm thinking of somebody else. But Simply Red, excellent guy, artist. He had Irish, British, same thing.
Yeah, I was going to
Maybe
say,
not.
okay,
Uh,
yeah,
he very soulful. He was like Blue Eyed Soul,
right.
and had a very melodic voice. I'm trying to think of the main song, Holding Back the Years,
Yeah, I think so.
Holding Back the Years,
Yes.
and he had such an amazing voice, and that song just really stuck with you because he had that voice of his just really drew you into the emotion of the song, and it was phenomenal. Definitely one of my favorites. The video is very poignant. I do remember, watching it quite often when it came on. Um, Timbuk 3.
So, I'm doing a little research.
Okay,
Glass
good.
Tiger was originally called Tokyo.
Awesome.
They were
Okay.
Canadian,
Okay.
and their big hit was Someday and Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone.
Don't forget me when I'm gone. Yeah, I do
Okay.
remember that now. Sorry, you guys weren't metal. My
Okay.
bad.
Okay.
I'm totally thinking of somebody else. Somebody will correct me, I'm sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, that was actually a good pop group
So
during the time.
Timbuk 3, American post-punk band,
Ah,
had 6 original albums from 86 to 95,
huh?
and their big top 20 single was, do you remember?
No.
The Future's So Bright I Gotta Wear Shades.
They did that?
That's what it says here.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Uh,
And I
uh,
actually like that song too. I really wouldn't
yeah,
consider that punk.
I don't know. And you know what's funny
Oh,
is um, that kind of song title has kind of gotten very much into popular culture, right?
absolutely. Definitely.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that was a coined
Mhm.
phrase there. So
Yes.
mm,
And new shoes, according to our
mhm,
friends at Wikipedia,
mhm,
is they were fronted by a husband and wife team of John Smith and Valerie Day, based in
mhm.
Portland, Oregon.
Yes, they are.
American freestyle R&B dance group.
Yeah, they're actually still on the go. Totally amazing. I still have yet seen them live. I keep telling Valerie I'm gonna get down there someday, and
Right?
she and I kind of talk off and on the internet.
Oh, how
And
funny.
they have a new album out called Bagtown,
Mhm.
and it's being at some point it was being I want to say at some point it was being like a GoFundMe or Kickstarter or something like that. But the fans, their fan base is amazing, and I completely love them, and they're all completely funded now. It was like 125% funded. That's how amazing this music is. I've been listening to it off and on YouTube, and if anybody's out there that wants to go watch, the videos, and it's the art, the graphics and everything is just totally amazing. Um, New Shoes was very cutting edge for their time when they came out.
And I Can't Wait,
I
I
can't
guess
wait.
is one of their
Yep.
songs.
Yeah.
We should you should try to get her on the show. We should interview
I
Valerie.
I would love to be able to. And
Yeah.
she's just totally awesome, and and they always do, and I get so jealous because they always have these festivals with people like In Vogue,
Mhm.
and, oh, she's got this new one coming out, Taylor Dane's gonna be there, it's just like, "Why can't Washington didn't do that? Where's always California and Oregon gets to do all the fun '80s festival stuff?" You
Hmm.
know? I get kinda jealous, but can't tell, can you?
Yeah. And then the other person was Bruce Hornsby and the Range,
Yeah.
and they were the people that won.
Mhm,
And he has gone on in 1990 won Grammy Award for Best Bluegrass Album,
mhm.
and in 94 Best Pop Instrumental Performance.
Yeah.
So sounds like from a longevity, they may have
Mhm.
gotten the right person at the time.
Perhaps. Simply Red's still on the go, definitely. It's that whole, over the pond situation, whereas, they've got a huge fan base over in Europe and other countries, and it just hasn't made it here, to for us to celebrate. The internet, however, is bringing people a lot closer, so they're still getting recognized. It's just as far as radio play, they don't really get it. So
Well, and
it,
it looks like they were Simply Red did not stayed very active till 2010.
yeah.
Broke up for a few years and then came back together
Mm,
in 2015. 92 and 93 Brit Awards. They received the award for Best British Group.
yeah.
So, So Simply Red may have a little something to say about Bruce Hornsby winning.
He may have.
Okay.
He probably does.
Which one would you have picked?
Well, truthfully, um,
Or would you have
those
picked?
are I I love Bruce Hornsby's the way it is. Uh, it's very real
Mm-hmm.
and down to earth and in your face, and but it's extremely melodic the way he does it. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
sucker for piano intros. I'm telling you, any type of instrumental intro into a song, and if I hear it and it catches, then I'm hooked from then on.
Okay.
And however,
Yes.
knowing what I know about Valerie and John and New Shoes, I just because I could do the hindsight's 2020 thing. I think that if they wanted to keep it cutting edge and innovative, then that's who they should have picked.
Interesting. Okay. Very
Yeah.
nice. All right, let's move on to Song of the Year. And as a reminder, as we do every episode, because I
Yeah.
have to look it up every episode, Song of the Year it goes to the writer of the song. We had Higher Love, Steve
Mhm.
Winwood and Will Jennings,
Mhm.
Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love, Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer, Paul Simon, Graceland,
Mhm.
and Burt Bacharach, Carol Bayer Sanger, That's What Friends Are For.
Yeah.
Any song right offhand speak to you, Rosemary?
Well, Peter Gabriel,
Hmm.
Sledgehammer. Not so much the song as the video.
I was
The
gonna say
video.
that, but I didn't want to put words in your mouth.
No, that's fine because it was it still baffles me to this day. But it's just so much going on, and most of his videos are like that. And it was fun, and you're listening to the words, the lyrics, and you're kind of going, "How does this all fit into what the song's about?" But it was definitely different, and Peter Gabriel definitely knows how to do different, and he's an excellent songwriter. And I like Sledgehammer. I like most of his stuff from that era. Robert Palmer, God rest his soul, "Addicted to Love" was probably one of the most, oh, I don't know, risque videos.
Yes.
Uh, but that was him. I mean, he you never saw him in a video without a suit and tie on or tuxedo or something. I mean, he was definitely, had that soul effect. I mean, that's what he was going for, I think. And
Yes,
a lot of his
absolutely.
stuff just, really, and he had that voice, that kind of growly, kind of rocky voice, and he just smoothed it over with the amazing band that backed him up. And I loved anything that he did. And then of course, he went on to do, Power Station
Hmm.
and the super groups that
Yeah.
they had, and they did a bunch of stuff, which was awesome. But um, Higher Love, excellent song, excellent song.
I'm a big fan of Steve Winwood.
Yeah,
Was shocked when I found out during this time that you know how young he was when he did his first hit song.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He was a
Um,
prodigy.
huh?
He was a prodigy.
Yeah. And I was really glad to see him. I guess he was doing the Spencer Davis group and did that. They had a huge hit, "Give Me Some Lovin',"
Mm,
and so I liked him a lot.
mm.
I but adored Graceland with Paul Simon. That CD, I still think it stands up and is an amazing CD.
Right. And it's probably one of the ones that I wouldn't listen to, or no, let me rephrase that. Didn't listen to only because I didn't really listen to Simon and Garfunkel.
Right?
So for Paul Simon to, after they split and him do his solo stuff, some of the stuff on there was really good.
Yeah.
However, I just, that wasn't what I was listening to at the time. So,
All of us have um, blind spots in our cultural,
mhm.
understanding. So you're saying that perhaps Graceland might be one of yours.
Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
thank you. It's a very eloquent way to put that.
I can do the heavy lifting on this one. And then, of course, that's what friends are for. What it was this year's, this is we talked about last time. The We Are the World,
Mm-hmm.
and so this year we had That's What Friends Are For.
Mm-hmm.
The huge song that was trying to raise money for AIDS awareness and
Absolutely.
such. So, and then Burt Bacharach is a you know
Hit
just
make.
yeah, a hit maker. I mean, just
He is definitely.
yeah, just talk about mellow rock. Just
Mm-hmm.
he's there,
Mm-hmm.
and he and Carol Bayer Sager did win for That's What Friends Are For.
Yeah.
Um, I probably would have picked. I don't know if I would have picked Graceland. I would have picked the CD, but the
Mm-hmm.
song I might have gone Higher Love, but then I got a little bit of, like I said, I've already talked about how much I love Steve Winwood.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
I personally think they got it right. Only because that's kind of where um I AIDS at the time was still new and very destructive, and just everything in its wake was, and it didn't matter where your social status was, where your cultural status was, you know, if you got it, chances are you weren't going to live. And I think the stigma that people had with the disease was slowly, I mean, there's still people today that still have a stigma with it, but it was like, look, people, this is what we need to do. We need to get something out in the open. We need to see, what can be done, what type of research can be accomplished, and we need money. And what better way to do it than have, popular celebrities sing their hearts out and donate all the money from the proceeds to AIDS awareness. And truthfully, yeah, hands down, give it to them just for that reason alone.
Very nice. I was thinking of as a pure music,
Mhm.
but well said, Rosemary. It is sometimes amazing when you think back. We especially think about that when we see segregation in the South. Linda and I will look at each other like, I can't believe, I was born in 59 and this was in my lifetime, you
Mhm.
know,
Mm,
which just seems crazy.
mhm.
Um, okay, let's move on to record of the year. And this would have been a single given to the artist. We had Steve Winwood, Higher Love. Dionne Warwick, Elton John, Gladys Knight, Stevie Wonder. That's What Friends Are For. Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer. Robert Palmer, Addicted to Love. Whitney Houston, Greatest Love of All. So, and kind of to cover my point too,
Mhm.
Paul Simon did not get a nomination
Yeah.
for Record of the Year.
Mm-mm.
I think because there's better songs on the Graceland album than actual Graceland. So,
Yeah.
you've already spoken very eloquently about That's What Friends Are For. I will tell you, I loved the harmony and the
Mhm.
way the different four voices blended together.
Mhm. Me too.
So, a great song.
Mhm.
Um, we've already talked about Addicted to Love.
Mhm.
It is a great kind of, I think, power ballad is how they used to call it, right?
Mhm.
Slam
What?
Jam. Go ahead.
No, I actually
Okay.
wasn't gonna say.
And a Sledgehammer, I think in a lot of ways a better video than it is a song, but they're so intertwined. And then, I love me some Steve Winwood. So talk to me about Whitney Houston, Greatest Love of All.
Oh, mercy sakes! I'm telling you, that is such an awesome song. Um, it spoke to people on so many levels. It's heartfelt. It's a tearjerker. I mean, she put her all. If you could go 150%, I know it doesn't make sense
Hmm.
mathematically, but that was an excellent, excellent choice for being nominated for Record of the Year, and I'm actually disappointed. I truly thought that even with everything else on the list, and it's a big list, and there's some heavy hitters in there, but I I would have thought that she would have definitely won it. I don't know.
Um, I probably would have gone with Steve Winwood, but I don't disagree with you. That's a powerful song, and her voice just carries so much.
Yeah,
Definitely worthy of the nomination.
definitely.
Okay, moving on to album of the year, the biggie. We had Steve Winwood, Back in the High Life, Peter Gabriel, Soul, Janet Jackson, Control, Barbara Streisand, the Broadway album, Paul Simon, Graceland.
Yeah.
Um, any thoughts on Janet Jackson's Control?
Um, this to me was her. Let's use that so loosely used the coming of age type of thing. I think was her. Um, this was a statement from her.
Mm-hmm.
She she was in control. This is she's well into her 20s by now, and she's been putting. It's been a rough road for her, and I remember, years before when she would do concerts and stuff overseas, and there would be some snafus, and they at some point that she was supposed to have like a band back her up, and it didn't happen. They got like stuck in an airport someplace, and she would have to pretty much lip sync through her own material, and you just wasn't really sure if she was going to make it or not. I mean, but she had something to prove. She had to prove that this is me. This I'm not my brothers. I'm not Michael. I'm who I am. And control to me. The fact that she wasn't on here in this list anywhere else but here says a lot. And I had a newfound respect for her after this album.
Yeah, she had divorced her husband, well, annulled her husband with James DeBarge. She, severed her business affairs from her father, and who was also her manager, the rest of the Jackson family. And this did became of her own. It was, um, it topped the Billboard charts. Five big singles. What have you done for me lately? Nasty, Control, When I Think of You, and Let's Wait a While. And it did get a nomination for Grammy of the Year album, as we're talking about, but also it won Producer of the Year for um, the Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis
Mm-hmm.
worked with her on this
Yes.
unconventional sound.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting is how she kind of, as you said, she came into her own this way.
Mm-hmm. And to
And
me, Jam and Lewis. were her Quincy Jones.
Yes,
They elevated her to the point that Quincy Jones took Michael to a higher
absolutely.
level.
I think that is well said. Um, Back in the High Life was a very big commercial success
Mm.
for Steve Winwood. Um, any thoughts on Peter Gabriel and So?
Probably not.
Okay,
Only because if I saw him on MTV, I would listen to him.
yeah.
And I knew he was, you know, I didn't know he was well on his way to make, quite a big name for himself. But I know his music was definitely a force to be reckoned with. And the more creative he got, the more interesting his music became.
Hmm.
And I know I enjoyed listening to the singles when I did hear them, but I don't I can't tell you I own the album.
So my wife loved this album, um, and it singles include Sledgehammer, Don't Give Up, Big
Mhm,
Times, In Your Eyes, and Red Rain.
mhm,
Don't Give Up was especially a favorite of hers
mhm.
because Kate Bush sang with him
Yeah,
on that song, and she
that is a good one.
loved that. That she's a big Kate Bush fan.
Mhm.
Um, I think In Your Eyes um, it gets a lot of play,
Okay.
especially from Say Anything,
Mhm.
the Cameron Crowe film.
Yeah,
And
that was the
so,
first time I'd ever heard that song.
yes, yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
The I did, I assume I do not remember much about Barbara Streisand's Broadway album. I
I think I
assume it
own
was a
that.
cover. Do you? Are you of?
Um, I've like I said, I like Barbara, and I like, the fact that she did Broadway. At some point, I believe I own it,
Yeah.
but it was like in the last decade that I found it.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was actually pretty good. She did a lot of really good tunes. I'm just not sure, you know. I
It
don't.
it seems a little out of place
Yeah,
for
it
the
kind of does.
album, compared to this. A lot of Stephen Sondheim
Mhm.
songs on it, putting it together from Sunny in the Park with George. Something's Coming from West Side Story, Not When I'm Around, Sweeney Todd, Being
Yeah.
Alive, Company, and I won't keep going, but
No,
um,
but yeah, those are some amazing
yeah,
songs from
yeah,
fantastic musicals. I mean,
right.
yeah.
So, and then, Graceland was just, as I already talked about, an
Mm.
album I really loved. The the idea that he went to South America, worked with these people, a lot of different beautiful music.
Mhm.
I love You Can Call Me Al, not only for the
Yeah.
song, but the joy of Chevy Chase and him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
One of my favorite videos.
yeah, and then Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes is
Mm.
was not released till like 87 as a
Mm.
single, but that was, I love the harmony on that.
Mhm.
And it ended up winning, and I wonder if part of this was the political of this combining all these different musical genres and using this the people and musicians from out of Africa got him some of extra press. Though I will tell you, of all these albums, Graceland is the only one that I routinely put on my player and listen to.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, from that perspective, that's what I would pick. How about you?
Um, I think that um it could have easily gone to Steve Winwood.
Yeah. and
Um,
and I
only
also
because
yeah.
this was his comeback.
Yeah, and I
This was
also think in a lot of ways, Control should have something to say about that. I think in
Mhm.
another year that could have been because it was totally something pretty amazing for an
Mhm.
artist, kind of finding her own voice. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Do you have any notes right away of other things you want to mention?
Well, you know me. I always kind of I'm looking through here. I didn't really get a chance
Okay,
to
so
go
while
through
you're
it all.
looking, I'll
So
share one of mine. And I
excellent.
just saw this. Under rock vocal group,
Mhm.
the Eurythmics, Missionary Man,
Nice.
ZZ Top, Afterburner, Rolling Stones, Harlan Shuffle, the Fabulous Thunderbirds, Tough Enough, which I always thought was a fun song. But Little Stevie Vant, Artists United Against Apartheid, Sun City, was
Mm.
nominated for a Grammy. It did not win. Missionary Man from the Eurythmics won.
Mhm.
But I love the fact that in 2012,
Mhm.
when Springsteen and the E Street Band toured South Africa, they played Sun City.
Nice. That's
So
so
I thought
cool.
that was very cool. Um, and, kind of a different take on social, um, being politically active,
Oh,
after We Are the
absolutely.
World and all this stuff. And here, I thought that was very cool. Um,
That is very cool
yes,
because that was going on as well.
yes, it
You know, and
was.
that was I don't think was getting nearly as much recognition, to be presented to the world as it
Yeah.
should have, because it had been going on for years
Yeah,
and it
and
was
this is
horrible.
Little Steven had just left the E Street Band and so was kind of on his own. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Rolling Stones won a Lifetime Achievement Award,
Yes, they did.
which is kind of funny considering they're still around and still
I know. I
putting
don't know if
out.
they thought that.
Yes. Um, I would have. Um, Fats Domino was nominated as well, and hopefully he did get in sooner or later because I loved me some Fats Domino.
Oh, yeah.
That was something my mom listened to when I was young, and we always loved that. Um, uh, how about I hate to ask this, but did you see who won comedy?
I did.
So,
I know. Well, see, this was his heyday now.
yes, it
We
was.
can't besmirch him that. He had his show on and,
Yes,
he was obviously getting because he'd been passed up a couple years,
right.
so
Mr.
you know,
Cosby in his sweaters.
Cosby in
Just
his
don't take a
sweater.
drink from him. Uh,
Mm.
I'm sorry, that was unkind. Um, yeah, and it was, and I think that's part of the reason why it was so his fall from grace because he was, everyone loved Bill Cosby,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
so yeah, I can imagine. Um, I don't see anything else I want to talk about.
Well, I found something that is
Okay.
interesting, and I normally don't go to this category, but someone stole mine this time, but that's fine. Um, best spoken word or non-musical recording.
Okay.
Nominees was like a whole bunch of people in one category for their war nominees, and I'm going to tell you because they are the ones that won.
Okay.
But it was Bill Cosby for Hard Headed Boys, F. Murray Abraham for Interview with the Vampire, uh,
Ah.
John Gielgud for Gulliver, and Ray Bradbury, The Stories of Ray Bradbury. I
Oh.
literally, of those five, I'd love to find at least three of these. But the
Yeah.
winners were Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash, Sam Phillips, Rick Nelson, and Chips Moman interviews from the class of 55, the recording sessions.
Ooh, I would like to hear that too.
Wouldn't that be an amazing something to put on and just sit back in your chair with a glass of cognac and be like,
Yes,
yes, tell us how it
that
really happened.
that would be a heck of a podcast, wouldn't it?
It sure would. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that was great. So,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. The judge continued to crush it in the country and western, and this was their "Grandpa Tell Me About the Good Old Days" song, and
Well, that's
that was a phenomenon. They were continuing to do well.
yeah, Reba
Uh,
McEntire, I think
hmm
he was nominated for a couple things.
Good. But overall, pretty interesting year as we
Yeah.
continue to move forward to now next time we're going to talk about the 30th annual Grammy Awards. It's for the year of 87, and I'm just saying you too will enjoy hearing us discuss it.
Can't wait.
Rosemarie, if someone wants to reach you, how can they?
I am at 80's Music Girl on Twitter, 80's Music Girl fan page on Facebook, and 80's Music Girl on Instagram.
And I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. I am. You can also hear me and sometimes Rosemarie on Set Lusting Bruce. And this week, as we record this, I have my 50th anniversary. 50th episode of, not anniversary, episode of Set Listing Bruce. So I'm excited about that.
Me too. Can't wait to hear it.
Yes, and I think that's going to do it. Rosemarie, thank you as always. This is
Well,
so much fun every week talking to
it
you,
is. It is.
going down music. So for now, we're going to tell everyone good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80's Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80's Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80's Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.